Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 380. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
And how are you today?
I'm doing well on the other side of the country. How are you?
You are. I might die on this recording. So it is
It
hot. I mean, it's
uh,
probably not hot by you, right? I mean, it's nothing there. Here for New York, I mean, it's like 80 something degrees. I mean, I'm having trouble dealing with this.
okay. Well, as tough as that is, yesterday I experienced I think the a record high temperature that I have ever been in my life. So
Like
I
90s.
no, it was 118 degrees where I
Good
was yesterday.
gravy.
And that wasn't the hottest it was getting that day. It's just when I left the area, it was 118. The high was 121. I
Wow. All
was I
right.
was I was in Palm Springs yesterday.
Okay. Boy,
So
Palm Springs sounds like a seasonable. It should be like, 70 something when you
yeah,
say Palm
no,
Springs.
yeah. Well, what I love is that it's called Palm Springs, but it's in the middle of the desert. So
So it's
so
an ironic name.
yeah, a
All
little bit.
right.
But yes, incredibly hot. Never experienced anything like that before.
Well,
Thankfully, a dry heat.
yeah, okay. A dry heat. You know what?
Yes.
Now that you say that, I think the hottest I might have experienced, because as soon as you said dry heat, I was in Vegas, not the time we went to Vegas, but the
Hmm.
second time I went to Vegas. And I'm pretty sure I saw it say 114.
Hmm.
And I remember going, oh, it's 114, but I'm not really sweating because it was a dry
It's
heat.
dry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the humidity that really gets you. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I think my previous record was 115 and it was in Vegas with my mom was visiting at the time. So we went to Vegas and it was
There
115.
you go. Vegas does it
So,
every time.
yeah, but that has now been beaten. 118. 118.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, stay indoors as we promote
I
here.
will. But but I can say, and it's related to our podcast that I
Okay.
did I did have a video game moment right outside of Palm Springs.
Oh, did you?
I did
What
because
happened?
not too far outside of Palm Springs are the let me see if I can say this correctly because I always say it wrong. The Kobazan Dinosaur Park,
Oh, okay.
and in the dinosaur park is a very famous T-Rex that you can go inside.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who have seen the 1989 video game movie The Wizard, it's featured prominently in there. At the end of
Yep.
the movie, it's also obviously iconically in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, which I did mark
So
out
that
for
is the same dinosaur.
it. That is the dinosaur
Okay.
I went
Okay.
to yesterday. Yes,
All right. I thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure. So
yes,
that's cool.
yes. Jimmy Wood's lunchbox is not there.
California.
35 years later,
That's it.
is no longer there.
Jimmy Woods.
But
That's cool.
it was a really cool stop. Definitely, it was just nice to experience. It's like one of those moments. I was like, oh man, I remember seeing this when I was a kid in two different movies, and
Yeah, right? Yeah.
it was really
That's
awesome.
awesome. And how did you not explode, considering that it was 118 degrees, like you said?
Yeah, inside there, no, yeah, somehow survived. Somehow survived. Did not spend a lot of time in there.
Awesome. Hey, I just found out I am using the wrong camera I normally use. Okay. So that explains that.
Yeah, not the end of the
No,
world.
it's not. It threw me off there for a second when I was trying to adjust my regular camera and nothing was moving.
Uh,
All right. Well, in any event, now I know where to look. So,
Excellent.
well, sounds good. Hopefully, you're enjoying your time over there in your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, so far so good.
All
It's like
right,
I never
cool.
left.
That's the way it should feel sometimes. That means that you were there for way too long.
Yeah, it's like I never left except when I walk around the neighborhood and I see all the changes. And then I'm like, oh God, what are they doing here?
Who are you people?
Yes.
All right. Well, considering the fact that you're out over there, I'm sure you got things to do. I'm here, and as I'm recording, there's no air conditioning on, and I might become like in the first X-Men movie when the
Yeah.
senator just, became like
No.
water and
Yeah.
dissipated.
Well, I think you've got one less person to be afraid of.
So we'll keep this train a moving. We got a really cool topic to talk about, but before we get to that, a very fun segment that this is turning into now and has been for a while. We have to come up with an official name for it. I don't know what yet, but we're going to talk about this week's pickups that we might have gotten. Well, you're on
Retro
vacation, so
pickups.
probably not. Yeah, I guess we could use retro. I mean, good thing no
Use
one
retro
owns.
for everything.
We
Yeah.
really should copyright the word retro at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep looking at the. I gotta move this. I
All
keep
right.
looking at.
We're gonna do some camera switching.
No. I'm just moving this because I keep staring at it, thinking I'm
Oh,
staring into the camera, so I can just put that down.
there you
Um.
go.
All right. So, well, you're away, so I doubt you were able to pick anything up then.
No, I did do a pre-order though yesterday.
Oh, okay. What'd you
So,
pre-order?
but I didn't realize it was coming out so soon, but it's coming out July 18th, so I pre-ordered it. But the World Championships
Oh,
NES edition.
yes, very good. Plus, obviously,
Correct.
you're getting the physical copy, so you're getting that sweet collection, really, because it's not even
Yep.
the card itself. I don't think is being sold on its own. It's that collection.
It's the whole collection, and I didn't realize that it's only available. Is it only available at Best Buy or a certain area? Because like I first went on Amazon and it wasn't there.
Really?
Yeah, and I was
You
like,
know
wait, I
what?
go, is this limited to certain
Limited
retailers?
edition. Now that you say it, I feel like some people have said that it was on Amazon, but then it got pulled.
Oh,
Best
interesting.
Buy, clearly, because you ordered from Best Buy. You can
That's
definitely
where I ordered
order it
from.
off Nintendo.com.
Of course.
Here we go. NES World. I'm just doing a search right now, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I wasn't sure. Like, is it a GameStop? Is it a Target?
oh yeah,
Walmart?
look at this. No, it's not. It's not on Amazon. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't believe me?
No, not but Amazon. Come on now. Everything's off of Amazon.
I know. That's why I thought it was weird. I was
Yeah,
like,
no, very weird.
okay.
So weird. All right. Well, in any event, you got yours, which is very cool.
Yes.
Are you tinkering about? Because I think you said you have a trip coming up soon, heading overseas. Maybe
Yep.
get the Famicom edition.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'm going back to Singapore and I'm gonna hit up the video game stores there like I did last time.
All right, cool.
And I have some room in my luggage
Mhm.
set aside for some purchases.
Why is this luggage completely empty? Don't worry about it. I got it.
Yeah. Who needs clothes?
We'll just buy it when we're there. All right. Well, I think you're going to love the NES. I think we're all going to love the NES World Championship Edition.
I think so too.
So, to be very cool. All right. So very soon, because I got mine on pre-order. Mine's digital, but I don't know. I might at the last minute purchase that physical just to have all that cool stuff and the cool gold cart and everything.
Yeah, it does look
Um,
really good.
yeah, so I maybe down the road. But for now, and funny enough, right before we started recording, some more stuff showed up. So
Yes.
I'm in a little bit of a whirlwind right now, figuring out what to play, what to do next. But here's first what we did, or what I did. After we recorded last week, I took a trip to Game On. So
Mhm.
that right there, it happened. So here's what I picked up at Game On.
All
First, I picked
right.
up a game that I originally had on the GameCube. I was trying to find it for the GameCube. I just did. Oh, it's in the thing. Okay. It's a CD, it's a PS1 game. And I opened it up. I'm like, where's the disc? But I was
Uh-oh.
playing it. Donald Duck going Quackers.
Oh my gosh, I remember that game.
It's such a fun game. It really, really is. And I got a bit of a
Going
player there.
Quackers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, I had it on the GameCube originally, but I picked it up on the PS1. So same,
Nice.
it's almost the same thing.
I think the
And
I think the only Donald Duck game, the only one I had was a Quack Shot. I think it was on Genesis.
then, I picked up two Atari games.
Okay.
And one was, which again, I didn't realize. I'm like, why is this not in my collection? Barnstorming.
Oh, nice. I like that game. That was a
Oh,
fun
game is
game.
so much fun. I'm like, how did I not have that? And then a game that I've seen on the shelf. I never thought about it, but I'm like, you know what? Let me, because they had a
Mhm.
2600 there on demo. So I popped it in. I'm like, you know what? This is actually kind of a fun game based on the TV show, MASH.
Oh, MASH. I had never played that. Definitely
No,
never played that.
neither have I. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just give it a shot. And it's really fun. It's got like a very Atari sounding theme to it,
Mm,
that iconic theme.
of
And
course.
so I'm like, all right, yeah, I got a couple of movie-based games on the Atari. So I'm like, why not? So that
Okay.
was very cool. And then one that I was so happy to pick up because I have it on the Genesis, but for me, it was always the Super Nintendo that was definitive. So I finally picked up in its gorgeous glory of a red cart, Spider-Man Venom Maximum Carnage,
Nice. I love that
specifically,
game. Yes.
specifically on the Super Nintendo. So
Yep. I have the same one.
yeah, I mean, I got it on Genesis, but again, it just doesn't to me it doesn't play the same. It is the same game, but
Hmm.
it doesn't play the same as it does. And this is the one I had, not this literally,
Yeah.
but this is the one I had
When you were
growing
younger.
up. And I remember, I'm trying to remember now. I don't remember seeing any other colored cart besides gray until Max. I'm sure they were out there, but I
Oh,
never
okay.
owned one until Maximum Carnage. I always thought it was like because we didn't even get a gold Zelda cart for Link to the Past on the Super
No, nothing.
Nintendo.
No, we did not.
So I always just thought this is awesome to look at, just like having this deep red cart.
Well, you know what was great about that too? If you put it on a shelf, like sideways, you knew what game it was.
Oh, 100%, right?
Yeah.
100%. All right, so those were the ones that I bought last week, and these are the ones that just showed up this morning.
Okay.
One, I finally pulled the trigger on
Timing
this
is
one.
everything.
What happened?
Timing is everything.
Oh, it really is. You should have seen me when I came up the stairs. Got finally I pulled the trigger on this one, a Super Game Boy 2.
Oh, very
Yes,
nice. I
so
knew you were
it was
looking for
a
that. Yeah.
matter of time, and the label is not as pristine as it looked like on eBay, but be that as it
Uh-oh.
may. But no, this was very cool. It only came out in Japan. It was basically an upgrade to the Super Game Boy. This one actually had the port on the side to play two-player games.
Nice.
So one person using the TV, the other one using a Game Boy, which I felt was very unfair for the person
Mhm.
using the Game Boy, but it is what it is. And I think it might have had a couple of extra color schemes to it and stuff like that. But very cool. Can't wait to boot that up.
Very
And
nice.
maybe when I do my next live gameplay, part 3 of Rockman World 5, maybe I'll play it off of this
Okay.
and I'll get into that in a little bit. And then
Sounds
this
good.
arrived out of nowhere because I didn't even realize it shipped yet. So I'm very happy that I got this. As soon as I can get it out of the package, there we are. This is the Mem Card Pro 2 memory card
Oh, wow.
that is for the PS1 and the PS2.
Very nice.
So these memory cards from I am 8-bit, no, I'm sorry, 8-bit mod, excuse me, 8-bit mod.
Okay.
These memory cards, they have one standalone for the PS1, this new
Mhm.
one for the PS1 and PS2, and they have one for the GameCube.
Oh, nice.
I mean, nothing fit. It's a memory card. It's really all it is. But
Hmm.
it's one memory card that you need, and you never need any others because it just takes a micro SD card. So boom, there you go. It's
For whatever
multiplied by
sizing that you want.
gajillions.
Now,
Um,
does it have a screen on the front, or am I
it does
missing?
have no, it does have a little screen.
Okay.
More just kind of let you know what's happening on it. Doesn't it's not like a VMU.
Okay.
But I mean, for those who go deeper dive into more like technical aspects of the systems and everything, you can move your save states via Wi-Fi back and forth from your computer to the memory card.
Hmm.
And what's cool about this one for the PS1, PS2 is that it will automatically recognize if the game is a PS1 or PS2 game, so it will automatically load whichever particular memory card you need
Okay.
then have like to go in and have to like manually change it, like some of the
Yeah.
older ones were. And it
Nice.
works on slim PS2s, which is also a big deal for me because that's
Oh,
what I
that's
have.
fantastic.
So I will be moving memories around. And also, with this being said, as we kind of mentioned last week, first of all, we are definitely going to be at the Cradle of Aviation for the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo, August 9th,
Yes.
10th, and 11th in Uniondale, Long Island, New York. Get your
Very
tickets at
nice.
liretro.com. I will have some stuff there for sale as I try and move some stuff out of this
Whittle things
apartment.
down.
Little,
Yep.
yep. And one of which I'll tell you right now is a Genesis version of Spider-Man Venom Maximum Carnage.
Nice.
And another one will be the PS1 Mem Card Pro memory card if you'd like to pick up that as well. And
Very
I
cool.
will be priced to move, not price to sell. So be on the lookout for that, folks.
Nice. I might have to dig up a few things to put out on the table
Yeah,
too.
just a couple things. Boy, I can start advertising right now. I'm gonna have a couple Valis games I can get rid of.
Nice.
Mega Man: The Wily Wars, from because I have like three other versions of it. So yeah, so I'm gonna have some interesting stuff
No,
talk
very
about
cool.
today. And you were talking about how, well, first of all, just last week you mentioned how you haven't been playing games on flights because you like to try and like zone out maybe and just kind of get sunk into your, first class seat, business all the way. God forbid, you're in the econo section. While you're drinking your Mai Tais, you told me that
Uh,
you actually did play some games while flying over to LA.
well, yes, because this flight was not a work trip, so I was relegated to the common seats with the rest of the riffraff. So
You have to put the quarter in on the overhead bin to
yes,
get the key out to put your stuff in. Yeah.
yeah, basically. So I had to put up with that. Um, but no, no, no. So actually, what was interesting about my flights first off was flew Southwest,
Okay.
and I flew home actually with my friends because my friends were staying with me this week because they were attending a wedding up in
Okay.
Albany.
Very cool.
So I got on their flight and flew back. But it's always great when you get on a flight that's not full because you can
Hmm.
really appreciate that, especially when it's Southwest. So we flew Southwest,
Okay.
and Southwest doesn't have seating assignments.
Oh
It's
yeah, that's
basically
right.
you just
Yeah.
get on in a specific order, and then you choose whatever seat you want.
I've done that once, I think with Virgin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we flew back. We had a connection in Chicago, and when we were getting on the flight from Chicago to Burbank, they announced over the speaker. They're like, just so everybody knows, there are only 43 of you on this flight.
Oh wow.
So please spread out. So
Holy
basic
cow.
so basically everybody had their own row,
That's cool.
which was awesome because I'm like, oh great, I can stretch out and relax, whatever. But then, so get on the flight and you know, usually I just put on something to watch and I zone out or whatever. Well, lo and behold, their Wi-Fi wasn't working very well, everything you tried watching would buffer every 3 seconds. So
You
I'm
got
like,
to
oh,
give something to take something.
which was a little upsetting because I had my heart set on because it was Fourth of July. I was flying on the Fourth of July, and I had my heart set on watching National Treasure. I was like, this works. I was like, it's very fitting. I'm gonna go with the theme. So unfortunately, couldn't watch that. Did get a really really unique view of the fireworks because while we were landing, I got to watch fireworks going off.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really really cool. Very
Yeah.
unique experience. But so anyway, I pulled out my Nintendo Switch because that's basic.
There's nothing else to do.
It was either that or nap, which I did do, like the old man that I am. So pulled out my Switch, and I decided I was like, all right, let me play something. What do I have on here? And I just instantly went retro. I said, I want to watch more of the Atari history. So on the Atari 50, because
Okay.
I bought Atari 50th. I started going through the history of it and whatnot, and I didn't get very far into it before I went on to like other games. So
It's
I'm like,
funny. I did the same thing.
yeah,
I still have a lot more to watch.
I have a lot more to watch too. So, but I did spend a good deal of time getting through the first section. Like I finished
Okay.
the first section of the history, which was like I think birth of a console or something like that, or
Hmm.
origin, which was really cool. And as I was getting through it, towards like the back half of the history there in
Hmm.
that first section, there were so many games I had never played. And I was like, oh, I go, this is kind of awesome because now I'm getting an opportunity to play these games as I'm learning about them.
Yeah, right.
And I thought and since, we were recording the episode this week, I thought we can do a nice little impromptu Atari related episode, specifically on the games that I played that I had never played before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely works.
Yeah. So I just wanted to go through, and I did. I don't want to say I did a retro spotlight, but I kind of just pulled some information off
Awesome.
of some of these games, and I thought they would be good to talk about because I don't know which ones you've played on the Atari 50 or which ones you've played before, but
I
there were
definitely
some
haven't.
interesting ones.
Oh no, they're definitely. I mean, again, it's been heralded this collection as being like the greatest collection, a video game collection that's ever been released, and it
Wow.
really is. Not documentary aside. because they could have released that as a DVD on its own and it would have
Of course.
sold. But yeah, no, the 100 as of right now, it's getting an expansion as we talked about last week. But as
Yep.
of right now, it's 115 games. Uh, Arcade 2600, 8-bit, 52, 78, Lynx, and the Jaguar. And yeah, this collection is top notch. I've not gone through all of them. Funny enough, I don't think I've touched any of the Jaguar games.
I haven't gotten to Jaguar for sure.
So, and I feel bad because I want a Jaguar. Like I want to own a Jaguar one day, like an actual Jaguar that's just patrols
Yeah.
my apartment when I'm not here.
That could be. We
But
can get you like a Jaguar coffee table where it's just underneath.
yes, right. Uh, so, um, but I definitely dipped my toe into a few of these games, but a lot of them I do remember playing. And again, it's that wash of nostalgia when I started playing the
Mhm.
game when you got it for me for Christmas.
Yeah. All right. So the first one I wanted to talk about was it's a game called Liberator.
Okay.
It was released in 1983. And what was interesting about this one was I didn't realize it was based off of the Atari Force comic book series that Atari released through DC Comics, and it was a series that ran for like 4 years.
Oh wow, I didn't
And
realize
I
I ran
and
that
I
long.
actually had a bunch of these comic books at one point.
Did you really? That's awesome.
I did because I remember Atari Force, and I'm like, oh, I was like, this is kind of cool. Um, so it was based off of that, and it's probably not a game that you would personally enjoy because it plays a lot like Missile Command,
Oh,
but in a different format.
oh.
And that's what made it really interesting because you remember Missile Command was basically you had the cities on the bottom, and you moved your cursor
Hmm.
basically or icon on the screen to block the missiles that were coming down to hit the cities,
I'll
right?
never forget it.
They did the reverse in Liberator. So on the center of your screen
Hmm.
was basically a rotating Earth, and you had blasters in the corners of the screen as if you were in space. So you had blasters in space, four different corners.
Okay.
Um, and what was happening was the cities on Earth were shooting up at you in space, and the object was to obviously the to block the
The
firing,
incoming missiles.
yeah, the incoming missiles from hitting your four blasters
Hmm.
in space. And then there were other things that would shoot out at you too, like there would be like flying saucers, things like that. But while it was going, like the Earth was rotating, so it was like almost the whole world was shooting at you. I, it was just like a really cool way to spin Missile Command, and I was having so much fun playing it this way. Like I almost want to like argue, like it almost felt like more fun than Missile Command. Because when you were blasting things, it would shoot from different blasters depending on which blaster was closest.
Okay.
And then obviously, you would lose your blasters if they got hit with a missile, and once you lost
Oh
them
yeah,
all, you lose.
totally.
So it was a high scoring game, but it was just a really fun game. It was a
I'll have
nice
to
spin
try.
on Missile Command that I had never played.
So this is the Atari. This is the arcade version. I don't
Yes.
remember seeing this in the arcade. I mean, it would have been early on in our existence,
Yes.
but nevertheless, I'll definitely give it a shot.
Yeah,
This
it's
one I
worth
don't think I've
playing.
played yet.
Yeah, this one's worth playing. I have a feeling you once it feels like Missile Command to you, you won't enjoy it. Um, but definitely,
I'll go into the BIOS and delete it.
yeah, basically, but like, oh, get rid of this game. But no, it was a really fun, cool game. Like I said,
Okay.
never played it before. I'll definitely play it again.
Okay.
The second one that I played it was a very simple game,
Hmm.
and it's a game like I think we've all played at a certain point recently on like a mobile game or something like that.
Okay.
It's called Quantum.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
again, arcade game released in November 1982.
Hmm.
It was developed by General Computer Corporation by their first female developer. Her name was Betty Ryan,
Okay.
and it used the trackball as a controller, which obviously when you play on your Switch, you play on your Switch.
Yeah.
But it used the trackball, and basically the goal of the game was there were particles on the screen, and you had to draw a circle
Hmm.
around the particles to get rid of them without hitting any of the other particles. Because if you hit the other ones, you exploded and lost a life. So it's basically just like just trapping particles in a circle, and then when you trap them, you got points.
It's
So
almost like how do you pronounce that game? Qix, Qix.
QIX.
Those games
Yeah.
where you have to like fill in the blocks, you like go from like side to side to fill in lines
Yeah,
before the enemy touches your line. Um,
exactly.
I did try this a few times. I just couldn't get the handle of it, probably because, like you said, and it's a trackball game.
Yeah.
And like I said, they should have put out some sort of Switch, Atari joystick for the Switch. But it'd be really awesome if anyone, just puts out a trackball
Yeah.
controller for any of the systems.
Yeah, it would be really cool to get a trackball for it
Yeah.
because it's definitely built for that. Because
Hmm.
when I was playing it with the joystick, it was hard to manage.
I wonder on the Switch, I'd have to try it if it's touchscreen.
Oh, oh, maybe.
Maybe
I
not,
didn't. I did not try it.
but maybe, yeah,
No.
something to try. Something to try.
Yeah, definitely something to try. I would love to. Actually, it would be fun to get like just a stylus. You
Well,
know.
that'd be the best way because
Yeah.
because your head would explode when you see all the fingerprints on your screen.
Oh no, it drives me nuts. You don't understand how often I clean this thing. You know.
You have to put it in dip.
Yeah, 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 basically. But but again, it was just a game I really had a bunch of fun with.
Yeah, no, it's a
Uh,
really cool
Very
game.
simple.
And
Mhm.
this is one that we would recommend if you can find it in an arcade. Definitely put a quarter in.
Definitely worth an arcade version for sure.
Hmm.
Mm.
Very cool.
Okay, so then the next one I played, this was a game that was actually never released on the
Yeah,
Atari.
they have a lot of good unreleased games
Yep.
on this collection.
Yeah, and this one was interesting. It was I had a difficult time trying to get the rhythm down for it.
Okay.
It's called Aka R. I don't know how to say it. It's AKKA and then
Yeah,
ARRH.
I think that's how it is. Yeah, Aka R.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there was a prototype created in 1982, was never released. It's a combination shooter tower defense game.
that's why I don't
Um,
like it. I hate those tower defense games, just
yeah,
personally. Yeah.
and that's what it was. It was like it was a top-down screen, and there were basically there were things that were the object was there were um, I don't know if they were bomb they weren't really bombs.
Hmm.
There were invaders coming at you, and the object was they were trying to steal things from the center of the screen, like inside.
Hmm.
And what you did was you would drop bombs as they were coming towards the center. And once the bomb exploded, if you hit one, they would fly off the screen and it would have a domino effect. So if it hit anything else off the screen, they would also get knocked off.
Hmm.
But then when they got into the middle to steal stuff, you can actually like if you clicked on the middle of the screen, you would go inside and then try
Okay.
and fend them off too. So it was like a kind of a combination game.
Hmm.
Um, I can understand why this game necessarily wasn't released because I had a lot of trouble getting the mechanics of it down. And even when I finally like I played it a few times to try and really get an understanding of it, and I still
Hmm.
struggled with it. So it was the kind of game where I was like, like I don't think I would go back to playing it,
I hear
but
you.
yeah, but I've always found it interesting to play like games that were never released just to see like what was the issue behind it that or what made them decide not to release it. Like there could have been many reasons,
Especially
obviously, but
back then. Yeah.
yeah, but I had a bit of trouble with that one. That was probably my least favorite one of the new ones that I tried.
And Aka R, if we're pronouncing it correctly, I don't know if it got a yeah, I think it got a graphical upgrade re-release about a year ago on modern consoles.
It did.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so I'd be curious to play that and
yeah,
see if
right.
that maybe helps the
Want to
gameplay of it.
solve the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next one that I tried, this was probably the most commercially released one that I had never played before because I remember the arcade version of it was Food Fight.
Yes.
Yeah, now Food Fight I had never like honestly like I was very surprised I had never played this because I knew of this game. Released in March of 1983, and then you play as the character Charlie Chuck. And the entire goal, the goal of the game is there's an ice cream cone on the screen. You have to eat the ice cream cone before it melts. And he has a really cool animation when he eats the ice cream cone because his entire face it like blows up and
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
giant mouth eats it. It's really fun. But while you're trying to get across the screen, there are four different chefs that are trying to stop you from eating the ice cream cone. Now I don't know why the chefs want to stop you. If they made the ice cream, they'd want you to enjoy it. But I digress. But they all the chefs all have names.
Mhm.
I didn't write down the names, but like there were three normal chefs, like Oscar and something or other. And then there's the fourth chef who's called Zorba, which I
Oscar,
just find funny.
yeah, Oscar, Angelo, Jacques, and Zorba.
I guess what they tried to do is they went with like Angelo would be the Italian one.
Exactly.
Zorba
Exactly.
is Greek, you
Oh, see,
know. Zorba the Greek?
no, I know, but Zorba, I'm like, all right, well, there's your alien, like
No,
from outer space because it's
right.
Atari.
But no, Zorba the Greek.
No,
That's what they, yeah.
yep.
And then Jacques is French.
Yep.
I don't know who
I
Oscar
guess
is.
Oscar would be like Spanish
American?
cuisine
Oh,
or
maybe.
something.
Oh yeah. That would make more sense than American.
Yeah. Oh,
But anyway, so and this game came out. It was arcade. It was interesting. It came out in the arcade, and then it was Atari 8-bit and 7800 in 1986.
it
But the
came out a
Atari,
few times. Yeah.
yeah, and the Atari 2600 one got canceled.
Hmm.
I guess at that point the 2600 was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so it was really fun. And one of the interesting things I found about this game, especially for its time, was if you have a close call with one of the oh, and one thing before I get to this,
Yeah.
um, one of the aspects of the game is as you're going across the screen, there's food littered everywhere. There's like
Hmm.
bananas and pies and watermelon, and what you can do is you can pick up a piece of food and throw it at the chefs
Yeah.
to knock them off the screen,
Yep.
or you can. Oh, my phone's
Yep.
ringing.
All right. Hold
Hold
for
on.
it.
Spam. And then the other thing that you can do is if you walk a chef by the hole that they originally come out of, because they
Hmm.
actually appear out of these holes.
They do. Weird.
You can if you get them close enough to them, they'll fall back in the hole and then clears the screen so you can get your ice cream cone.
There you go.
But the other cool thing that I found about this game, especially for when it was made in the 80s, is that if you have a close call with a chef
Hmm.
or a flying food during the level, after you get your ice cream cone, the game will do an instant replay.
That's different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which will show you your basically a full replay of the board you just went through, and it plays music while it's showing you the
That's
replay. So
cool.
I thought that was like kind of a fun little touch to it,
Very, very much.
especially for a game that came out in '83.
Yeah, right.
So so I thought that was a really good one. Had a lot of fun with that one.
Cool.
Then I went to this one I did not play because there's not a playable version of it on the Atari 50,
Hmm.
and for good reason. And I'm sure licensing would play a big deal in this one.
Hmm.
There was a game, but it was nice to learn about this game because I didn't know about it. There's a game called Firefox that was released in January 1984. It was Atari's only Laserdisc video game,
Oh, wow.
and it was a first-person shooter based off of the 1982 Clint Eastwood movie Firefox,
Which I do not remember at all.
which I don't remember it
Yeah,
either.
no.
And what was interesting about it is that they actually have Clint Eastwood audio in the game.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they have audio of him in the game. I don't know if it's just from the movie or if they actually brought him in to like do some type of
Oh,
narration for the game.
yeah.
But what the developers of the game did, this was arcade only release because it was a
Hmm.
laser disc game, and it was one of those big you have the seated shooters. They had like
Hmm.
that type of version with it, which was cool. The developers of the game actually sifted through 20 to 30 hours of the original film footage of the movie
Oh, wow.
to create this first person shooter. And within all of that footage, they had filmed helicopters flying over Greenland and Scandinavia,
Oh,
which is where
wow.
they filmed the movie. So when you're actually doing the first person shooting, you're flying through, you're doing this helicopter fly
That's
through of
cool.
those areas. So really, really cool, very original. Definitely now a game that I want to play, but you can
Right?
you can see footage of it online.
Yeah, and
Uh,
if I'm ever so talented, I'll try and throw some stuff out here while we're talking. Um, actually, I probably will because I'm watching it right now on YouTube. I'm looking at a clip. This is insane.
yeah, it's
I
really
mean,
cool, right?
it's a Laserdisc game, don't get me wrong, but for back then, I mean, it's crazy to look at now. I can
Hmm.
only imagine what it looked like back then,
Yeah.
when you
So
first laid your eyes on this thing.
yeah, exactly. So definitely unique, really, really fun.
Very cool.
Um, yes, and definitely worth a look for anybody who's never heard of this game like me. It was kind of a cool experience to see it.
Oh, totally, totally. I don't think I really have, I mean, short of like Dragon's Lair, and that series, Space Ace,
Yeah.
I don't remember too many or ever playing a Laserdisc game that I can
Well,
think of.
this was Atari's response to Dragon's Lair because Dragon's
Yeah.
Lair came out first,
Hmm.
and then Atari decided to do a Laserdisc game, and this was the one that they did, and it was the only one they ever did because
Yeah.
Laserdisc games didn't last very long.
No, no, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, but imagine getting your hands on the Laserdisc version of the game.
Oh, forget about it.
That would be really cool.
Just sit there and watch it instead of even playing it.
Yep.
It's crazy. All right.
So the next game I'm going to talk about, I'm saving my favorite two for the end.
For last.
Yeah. So the next one I'm going to talk about before I get to the last two.
Hmm.
It's a game, and again, it's another movie-based tie-in game that's on the collection. It's
Oh,
called
no.
Cloak and Dagger.
Okay.
Yep, it's a tie-in to the 1984 film. Has no relation to the Marvel Comics characters. Cloak and Dagger
Nope.
was released in March 1984, and it was only released in the arcade, and now on the Atari 50.
Yep.
So the idea behind the game is you play as Agent X, who's also known as Jack Flack, because we're going to rhyme.
You got to.
Yeah, and the object is you have to recover secret plans from Dr. Boom and destroy his underground bomb factory. So again, it's a simple platform screen
Hmm.
game, and on the screen you have these conveyor belts, and the conveyor belts have all of these bombs. Red ones explode, green ones do not.
Hmm.
You can collect the green ones for points, but then also on one of the conveyor belts is a little box with an S in it. Those are the secret plans you need to steal.
Ah.
And as the conveyor belts are going around, the green bombs will go into like a detonator
Hmm.
activation. So then they'll turn red. And they obviously you have to avoid the red bombs because they'll blow up. And then in the center of the screen, there's a huge bomb with a fuse on it. And the bad guys can light the fuse and blow up the entire screen before you can get off of the screen.
You bums.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the game, but what I really liked about it too, as you descend to the next level, there's a cool little animation of you as a secret agent with like a coat and a hat, and you're in an elevator descending to the next level. And I just thought that was like a really cool,
No, yeah, that's definitely
you know,
cool.
yeah, like a little cool cutscene
Hmm.
as you're going through the game. So just all in
And
all, like cool little fun game.
what's funny is with the movie, and I never saw the movie Cloak and Dagger. I
Me
own it. I
neither.
bought it when I went
Um,
on my yeah, when I went on my little purchasing spree of movie-based
mhm.
video game-based movies, excuse me. Cloak and Dagger is definitely one of them. And it almost, I mean, the plot isn't solely this, but you can almost maybe see where the project that we've backed and we're highly supportive of, Memory Card,
Memory card.
that is on Kickstarter. Actually, I think the Kickstarter just ended or will be ending very shortly. But
Okay.
in the movie, there's military secrets in the game, kind of like how you described the gameplay itself.
Yes.
But the military secrets are actually in the game that they're trying to get the physical cart in the movie, kind of like a
Mhm.
memory card. There's coordinates to find this expensive memory card. So I might have to watch this very soon.
Okay.
The movie itself as well.
Well, we can do a review.
I would love to.
Yeah, it would be cool. Okay, so now the last two games that I played, one of them I had a lot of fun with, even though the only review that was given to it online, like when I was researching it,
Hmm.
was it was given a very low review because the arcade was actually so expensive to purchase that people complained.
Really?
Yeah, so the name of the game was Major Havoc.
Oh, okay, yes.
Have you ever played this one?
I have. Again, very limited on the
Okay.
system, but yeah.
Yeah, so this was released in January 19 I'm sorry, yeah, it was January 1984. And what was really fun about this game, because again, games back then usually had like very simple, like one screen, it would
Hmm.
vary in levels and stuff like that. This one had like a combination. It was like three different kinds of games mixed together into one story.
Okay.
It was a fixed shooter game. So what you started as you're playing Major Havoc, and the idea is that you're trying to destroy these space stations
Hmm.
um, before they destroy you. And you start in your start in your ship, and it's a fixed shooter, kind of like a little bit like Space Invader-esque kind of thing, like a
Okay. Yep.
top-down
Yep.
shooter in a way.
Hmm.
Once you eliminate all the enemies on your screen, then it switches to a lunar lander portion of the game. So and
Okay.
you have to land your ship on a certain spot in order to board the space station.
Hmm.
After that, it becomes a side-scrolling platformer. And then you're inside the space station.
Hmm.
You have to make your way over to the space reactor to sabotage it and then make your way out back onto your ship. And then once you get off of the space station, you move on to the next level.
God,
So
wow.
there was a lot of stuff going on in this game. And
Very
then,
much.
yeah, as if that wasn't enough, there was a warp system in this game, which in order to activate it, it switched into like a breakout style game.
Okay.
And if you put in the right coordinates for the warp system, you were able to warp through
Oh,
levels.
wow.
Yeah, there was a whole lot going on with this game, and I wonder if like it just got too confusing for people, or
Mm,
too it was a little bit too much of everything.
I don't know. I mean,
But
graphically, it's one of the, it was a vector graphics game. And back then, vector
yes,
graphics were wild. In fact, one of the games I'm
yeah,
going to talk about was vector graphics. Um, but I would feel like a game like this, there is so much variety
yeah.
that you feel like you're getting a lot for your quarter.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest with you, after watching the way that this game played, I
Hmm.
would love to see somebody take this and make a modern version of it because there's a lot going on here. I can almost see this becoming like a modern game. Like, you know how like they
Oh, yeah.
redid Haunted House and stuff like that?
Or the
And then they
recharge
updated.
games that
That's what I
Atari's
mean.
put out.
That's
Yep,
what I'm
yep.
talking about, the recharge games. I would love to see like Major Havoc recharged because I think you can do a lot with this game. Is there
No,
one?
totally. Yeah, no, I
No.
started reading it. It's just been re-released as compilations,
Yes.
that's all. Um,
Yeah.
including getting on a DS. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think this game would actually be a good recharged game because updating the graphics for it, I think you can make a really cool game out of this.
I think so. Only because it caught my eye. Not the other games really didn't have it listed, but the world record holder, according to Twin
Hmm.
Galaxies, is New York's own Ettore Sciaffi. World
Okay.
record of 1,940,078 points, set June 28th, 1985. Good gosh.
Ooh, that one's ripe to beat.
Yeah, honestly, right? I think it's ready to go.
Very cool. Yeah. So Major Havoc's definitely one I would say check out. And then the last one I want to bring up it was interesting.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it, but then when I looked into it, I found out it was actually kind of a very pivotal game in video game history.
Oh, okay.
It's called iRobot.
Never saw the
Uh,
movie.
I was just gonna say, definitely not based off the movie,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's
There's
called
no Will Smith
iRobot.
in this.
No, no Will Smith. iRobot. It's an arcade shooter released June 28th, 1984.
Hmm.
You play as a self-aware servant robot who's rebelling against Big Brother.
You sure it's not based on the movie?
Right? I know. Crazy. Very similar. But what's really cool about this game is two things. It was the very first arcade game to have real-time, flat-shaded, 3D polygon graphics.
There you go.
So, you know, when we think of like Sony PlayStation and the polygon graphics and
It
all that stuff, that was
yeah.
11 years later.
No, it
So,
really is like PS1 style graphics in
yeah.
1983. Yeah.
And it's very simple. Like the goal is there are blue platforms that you need to turn red.
Hmm.
And once you do that, you have then you're basically shooting the giant eye on the screen
Yeah.
to get rid of it. And then after that, then you jump in your ship and then it becomes like a shooter and
And
you're shooting through
another
asteroids to
dual.
get,
Yeah.
yeah, before you get to the next level. But the added challenge to it is that there are other things coming at you when you're jumping platform to platform.
Hmm.
You also have to avoid jumping to the next platform when the eye is open because if it sees you, it shoots you and it kills
So
you.
it's Squid Game.
Yeah, kind of. It's got a Squid Game S thing. So I found it just very interesting to play, like, like in all honesty, to play a 3D polygon game for the Atari
Oh
was
yeah.
just really cool.
I mean, this
Um,
arcade game again. I don't ever remember seeing this in the arcades. So,
Same. The other first that this game actually had was it was the first game to feature camera control options.
Really
Yep, you were able to control the camera in this game.
interesting.
Yeah, so just again, a really, really fun game, and more importantly, very educational game for me. To, like, because I learned a few things about. I was like, oh, this game has a couple of firsts in video game history. So really, really cool. Definitely worth checking out. And again, it's on the Atari 50, so you can play it whenever you want.
No, and I almost feel ashamed that I haven't played really dipped into some of these games, but the way you're presenting them, man, I'm definitely gonna be giving these a try when we're done.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to bring them up because I like there were a whole bunch of games here that I learned about, and I'm like, ooh, I was like,
Seriously.
I kind of enjoyed almost all of these.
I feel it.
Honestly, I think Aka R was the only
Akar.
one where I was just like, I wouldn't go back to. The rest I would play over and over again.
Yeah, that and like I said, when you get a chance, or when I get a chance, Quantum, see if they, maybe that touch control, because I know
Yeah.
there's that handheld game that they put in there called Touch Me. That was almost
Mhm.
like a Simon, I think, type game, if I remember correctly.
Yes. You
That
are correct.
definitely has touch control on the
Okay.
Switch. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what's up. I don't have as many games. It's actually I only have maybe like two or three that I would like to mention because all the games speak for themselves.
Yep.
I mean, the games that you mentioned, Ann, are fantastic. But the two games I want to talk about, the first one was an unreleased prototype that they included as part of that holiday free upgrade or DLC that they did. It's called Aqua Venture. And
Yes.
actually, I think I might actually have a physical copy as well because they eventually put it out on a
Hmm.
physical cart for the 2600. It's a very straightforward 2600 game. Basically, the whole concept is you're a diver, like a scuba diver or just a
Hmm.
diver, and you got to work your way down to the bottom of the trench, bottom of the seabed. You collect the whatever's down there, the treasure, and then you go back up. And what happens is as you're heading down, you got to be careful of the fish. Almost plays like a multi-level Jaws
Hmm.
if you want to put it to anything,
There.
a
Yeah.
multi-screen Jaws, and that's as per every Atari 2600 game. It's just rinse and
Yep.
repeat. So but the color scheme was very eye-popping. The way the game moved, the interaction of with the enemies, and again, I think a little bit because of that love of Jaws, that's why I really gravitated to Aqua Venture. And Aqua
Okay.
Venture they've released on other compilations that they've done, not home compilations, but like the flashback series
Oh
that
yeah, I
they've done.
remember that. Yep. Hmm.
So it's been out for a little while, but definitely a game to check out because it is on this collection.
Very cool.
Another
Yeah.
game that I ended up discovering, and I absolutely fell in love with this game. A game I would have never touched with a 10-foot pole when I was a kid. This arcade game, Black Widow. Because
Yes.
growing up,
I almost brought up Black Widow
oh my
actually.
gosh,
Yeah.
growing up, I had crippling arachnophobia. I
Mm.
mean, and I was a Boy Scout, and I don't know how that worked because when we go camping, and if I walked into a lean-to or something and I saw just even the tiniest spider, I froze, almost stopped breathing. That's
I
how
don't
bad
blame
it
you.
was for me. I'd never even seen the movie, but since got over that. But with Black Widow, again, it's a vector type
Hmm.
game. It's one of the Recharge series that have come out in the last couple of years.
Yep.
But the arcade game, just especially when you see, because Game On actually has the arcade cabinet at one of their, I think at the Riverhead location, the further
Oh,
out one.
nice.
So I first played it on the Atari 50. That's when I came across it. I'm like, what is this? And you play as a Black Widow, and you have the spider web there for you, and just basically going around and shooting whatever bugs appear on the web. And of course, as in real life, they drop money, and the spider collects the money and keeps it for itself. As the game progresses, the some of the bugs lay eggs, and you have to
Hmm.
push the eggs off the spider web for additional points. And at some point, the web gets some unpenetrable walls that you have to get around.
Hmm.
Very cool to play. It's a one screen game. It's very circular. But to see the arcade cabinet in person and see those colors and the vector graphics
Hmm.
pop, whole different ball game. If you ever see the arcade game in the wild, and definitely just take a moment, play a game. It is beautiful. Besides fun to play. It's like one of these, it's just amazing just to watch, just to
Mm.
look at. So Black Widow, definitely recommend. And then the third game I want to mention is, again, it's another unreleased Atari 2600 prototype that was part of that
Hmm.
holiday collection, has since been released on physical Atari 2600 cart, and it's called Save Mary. And this game was talked about for a while. It came out in well, it finally dropped in 2005, and
Okay.
it's from basically the guy Todd Fry, who worked on the port of Pac-Man for the
Oh,
2600.
wow.
So when
Okay.
you're on paper, you're a little nervous.
Mm. Yeah, of course.
But the gameplay came out. Basically, you're a crane operator essentially, and what you're doing is you're moving pieces back and forth to drop into this pit that Mary is in to basically build a platform for her to get out of the pit for you
Okay.
to basically she can reach your hook and then you save her. Again, very simple gameplay, but it's just so much fun. Again, this
Mm.
unreleased 2600 game that appeared on an Atari flashback as well, and now on this collection, definitely worthwhile to check out because just it's especially weird, even though we should be used to it by now. A lot of people putting out NES games, SNES games, brand new games, but
Hmm.
for the old systems. But to see people still make Atari games with Atari graphics
Yeah.
for the Atari that are still new games, there's just some charm about it.
Oh no, there definitely is. I mean, especially since obviously we talk about everything retro, like being able to still create new games for old systems like that, it's just cool because it helps to show not only the preserve the history, but to show that you can still make entertaining games
Exactly.
for these simple systems,
Exactly.
so to speak.
So,
Yeah.
and with things like, and I'm so looking forward, we both are, to see what the 39 new games are going to be on the Atari 50
Yes.
anniversary because they're just hitting home runs with this thing. And
Yeah.
that
Very
comes
excited
out,
about that.
yeah, that comes out in October. But with that, very cool stuff. Folks at home, folks watching, if there's any of the games from the collection that you enjoy, maybe like a hidden gem that you didn't realize,
Mhm.
definitely hit us up on social media. And where can they find us?
You guys can find us on Facebook.com/slash Retro Gamers Podcast, on Instagram at Retro Gamers Podcast, on Twitter
X.
at Retro Gamers Pod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify at Retro Gamers Podcast, or you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com.
All right. And with that, we are going to move on to game of the week.
Yes, game of the week. Larry, it was your turn 2 weeks ago.
It was, yes, 2 weeks ago. We didn't do it last week, though I will mention, because it's still up. I ended up doing the part two of Mega Man 5. But I
Yep.
actually did it for the first time. We did it first time in a long time. Either one of us did something like this. And I don't know, it kind of gave me the little itch to definitely do more now that I finally figured out how to properly set it up and use a working program. Thank you, OBS.
Hmm.
I live streamed part two of Mega Man 5. Well, actually, Rockman World 5
Yes.
via the Super Game Boy.
Nice. And it
So,
was nicely done too.
you caught some of it? Were you able to catch it?
I caught some of it after you had
That's all right.
live
That's
streamed,
fine.
yeah, but
How,
it was really fun to see.
your thoughts on the Super Game Boy? Like, because I know you never had a Super Game Boy, and this was a Super Game Boy compatible cartridge.
Yeah, thoughts were if I had that, I probably would have played more Game Boy games.
Totally right.
Yeah,
So now I did not complete the game, so I'm actually going to do a part three at some point. That is just going to be whenever I feel like it.
yeah.
So
According to Jack, you were struggling with Uranus.
well, as most of us probably do, right? But no, yeah, that was a difficult level, I gotta say. I'm not used to it, and I'm trying to think of PG jokes that I can't do.
Nope,
So
nope.
we're
That's
gonna,
no.
yeah, we'll just kind of keep trucking along. But nevertheless, it was very fun to do, very fun to play. Again, just the game itself, whether it's Mega
Yeah.
Man 5 or Rockman World 5, just beautiful game to play. So I'll do a part three at some point, like I said, whenever I feel like it. But the official game of the week that I did play, and okay, Captain America and the Avengers,
Yes, great game.
specifically on the Genesis.
Yep.
So, okay, now I might have mentioned it before here on the show. Between the two of us, Anthony is definitely the de facto go-to comic book guy between the
Yeah.
two of us. The only comics I read growing up were Archie. I got my
Yeah.
Archie double digest whenever my mom
Mm.
went to the supermarket, so I got to read those. But I just wasn't into comics growing up. Be that as it may, though, I played the comic video games,
Yeah.
played X-Men, played Wolverine on NES.
Yes.
But just recently, like when a few years ago, I acquired Captain America and the Avengers on the Genesis.
Hmm.
I can't tell you specifically having vivid memories of playing the arcade game. I'm sure I have. I'm sure we have in at Buddies or
Oh, I
at
definitely played that game. Yeah.
yeah, at Fun Time. Um, I'm sure we definitely play. I don't have any like just recollection or memories of doing that. But playing the Genesis version, it's a fun beat 'em up.
Hmm.
I had some concerns with it, which I'll address in a few moments. But and just have you? I mean, I think you owned it on a different system? Did you not?
Well, I had it on the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
I had it on the Super Nintendo. I think I had an NES. I wound up getting an NES version at some point.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously, I have played it most recently on my X-Men arcade one up
I
cabinet.
keep forgetting that. Yes, that is
Yeah,
part of your collection.
yeah, that is where I played it for this game of the week.
So your experience can be a lot different than mine.
Yes.
So for the Genesis version, you do play as four playable characters: Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye, who's if you're only used to him from the movies, he looks very different in the comic books,
Oh yeah.
and Vision.
Yes.
Um, as a side-scrolling, like the NES game did play slightly different, probably maybe because of the limitations. I don't know if they
Yes.
purposely made it different, but you only played as two characters, Captain America and Hawkeye in that one. But with this one, yeah, your choice of the four characters. As a side-scrolling beat 'em up, akin to Final Fight and stuff like that,
Hmm.
I enjoyed that gameplay. As far as the design of the game, I found a lot of issues like with hit detection
Hmm.
in the Genesis version. Just I'm like I'm swinging at this guy. Why is he not going down? Like he's not taking any hit points. I definitely got my butt kicked heavily in this game.
Hmm.
The I only got to the third level, and the only reason for that is because I just squeaked by the second stage boss, who's like Helicopter Man. I don't remember his name.
Oh,
Grim Reaper, I think it actually was.
yes.
Yeah, he had a propeller, which I ran into every time, and I knew it was coming, and I just did nothing I could do about it. And then I get to the third stage, and I only had 7 points of life left, which I don't know how hard it could have been to program the fact that we're starting a new level. Let's reset your power, or maybe
No.
give you at least half more of where
No.
you're at.
No. No.
Holy cow. Starting a level with out of 100 points of hit damage, you have three left. You're not
Yep.
lasting that long in the game.
No.
So, but it's your basic again. You move forward, you punch. I had trouble playing the game, and it's not because I just don't think it was designed properly for Genesis. I think you're gonna have a different
Mm,
feel for your arcade version here, because for four characters who all have projectile weapons, I couldn't shoot anything from
yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
And I hate to say, as much as I picked it, I had fun experiencing it because I never sat down to play it. But I don't know if I want to go back and play the Genesis version at least because it didn't sit well with me,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No, I understand that. I think one of the things to remember about this game, and it doesn't exonerate it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I feel like it was one of the early arcade style ports where I feel like they perfected the format when you got to the X-Men arcade game.
Hmm. Okay.
And uh, and I want to say I'm pretty sure that this one came first. I could be wrong, but
Well, this came out in 91, October of 91. I got to imagine the X-Men one came out. You talking about Children of the Atom?
no, 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 no. I'm talking
Oh.
about just the X-Men arcade game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, Children of the Atom was a different game.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So the
That one came out in 92. I know what you're. Why? How can I?
Yeah.
Forget that X-Men arcade game. Okay.
So I feel like this one was like kind of the precursor to that one, and they whatever bugs they found in this one. Because I agree with you, hitboxes even in the arcade version to me were a little bit off
Okay.
because everybody was doing projectiles. I think what happened in that respect is like depending on where they were shooting out of, it was kind of limited to
Hmm.
where it was going to hit. Because like Vision shot from his eyes, Iron Man shot from his hand,
Yep. Captain America
Hawkeye,
had the shield,
yeah,
and
he had the
Hawkeye.
shield and the arrows. So, and yes, the characters do look completely different from the movie. Um,
Yeah.
no question about that. Or at least, Hawkeye did with his purple and blue.
Yeah,
Um,
he had a get up. Yeah.
yeah, well, but that was his get up from the comic
No,
books.
I know exactly. Yeah.
Um, so like, I do agree that the hitboxes are a little tough. They're even tough in the arcade game too. Sometimes I wonder if like those things are done on purpose because obviously they want to eat quarters. Um,
Probably.
Yeah, but for me, the real enjoyment of this game is to play as the Avengers, and as a big fan of the comic book, specifically Captain America and Vision were my two favorite characters in the Avengers. So the fact that they were in the game made me
Hmm.
very happy. Captain America, I think, is by far the best character to play in the game because the shield goes through the enemies
Mm.
and comes back.
If
Whereas
I
the
only
other ones, when you shoot, it just hits them and dissipates.
only knew how to use that shield then. All right, I gotta figure
Yeah,
that out.
yeah, and the limitations with the NES one are definitely, the big issue with them with the NES one was they couldn't accommodate the two flying characters. That's why you only get Captain America and Hawkeye.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Vision and Iron Man could fly in the game.
Hmm.
Um, so that was obviously problematic for the NES. So the fact that they even came out with a game on the NES was, I guess cool.
Yeah, right.
Um, but I had the Super Nintendo one growing up, and I enjoyed that version of it. It felt more, and I've played the Genesis one too. It just felt more fluid than the
I
Genesis
I
version.
believe that the
Yeah,
reason why I picked up Spider-Man on Super Nintendo and want to
yeah,
get rid of the Genesis one.
yeah. So yeah, I felt the Super Nintendo one definitely plays more fluidly. Obviously, the arcade one is far superior.
Oh, of
Like if
course.
there's a version you're gonna play, you play the arcade one.
Absolutely.
But again, for me, I'm a little biased towards the game just because I got to play as the Avengers. I get to play
Mhm.
against some of their enemies from the comic books that I read growing up, and it was just that that's me. That was just for me, like pure fun. Is it the type of game I would recommend to somebody who's not a fan of that type of thing? I would probably say no because there are far superior games to this one.
Hmm.
I would obviously steer everybody towards the X-Men arcade game over this. Even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, I
Mm.
think is definitely better than this game.
Okay, fair.
So it's not an upper echelon kind of game. It really isn't. But it again, if you're a comic book fan, it's worth the playthrough
I
for sure.
I will
Yeah.
I will give kudos. I bashed it up a little bit. I will give kudos to the Genesis version. The voice, like the voiceovers in the game, is
Yep.
very fun to hear. Except when you're on the title screen, it's the game's called Captain America and the Avengers, but all you get is the Avengers. I don't know if it's like that on the arcade as well.
No, it's the
That's
Avengers.
basically actually Anthony did it way
That's
better
what
than
it
I did it. Yes.
is.
So it's an Avengers game. I don't know why they threw Captain America on it, but it's an Avengers game.
Well, the
Uh
reason why I guarantee you the reason why they did that is because he's a more noticeable name than the Avengers.
oh yeah.
Like the name Captain America screams out.
I
So yeah,
I said it when the first Iron Man movie was coming out. I'm like, no one's gonna know what this movie is. No one knows who Iron Man is. Like, if you're
yeah,
gonna do a Marvel movie, you gotta have a big name like Captain America. This
yeah.
movie's gonna flop as Iron Man. Watch me.
Hmm.
Oh, I might have been
Oops,
wrong.
a little bit.
But nevertheless, it's a fun game to play. It's part. Whoa, it's part of
Ooh, you all
history.
right?
Yeah, no, I'm not. And it's there. I'll try it again. I mean, I'm gonna try it again because I'm gonna do the game of
Okay.
the week. But with that, I'll give it. I'll give it. You know, two Captain America shields. It's playable, but it's not enjoyable to me.
Hmm.
So,
Yep. All right. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it two Captain America shields and one Hawkeye arrow.
oh,
So
there you go. I think that's 3.5 then.
no, it's 2.5.
I figured. All right, I figured that was it.
His arrows aren't that great.
Oh, okay, fair enough. No problem.
At least in the game. Hawkeye the character is actually pretty cool, but yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so with that, it's time to pick game of the week. Now, normally this would be Anthony's pick, but I'm asking him to graciously step aside for a moment for game of the week this week because during the 4th of July holiday celebration, I was at my cousin's house celebrating, and my cousin's son, my godson and his little brother. So my cousin's son came up to me, just turned 10, Ryan. Just became follower of the podcast now. So we have another. He was follower number 704. And
Nice.
by the way, over 700 followers, subscribers on YouTube. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yay. Yes.
Absolutely. So he actually recommended a game of the week.
Okay.
And after I had to correct him lightly on how to pronounce
Uh-oh.
this game, he asked if we can do Super Mario Brothers. And yes, I know I'm pulling my card because he is my relative, but nevertheless, we're gonna do Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Come on, just kick back, relax, have some fun with Super Mario Brothers on any of the 1900 different availabilities of how to play the
Yeah.
game. I might just play it on the Game and Watch maybe, and somehow try and film it. Who knows?
There you go. That could be interesting.
So have fun with that. And Ryan, thank you very much for suggesting Game of the Week to
Yes,
us.
thank you, Ryan. You'll get to see how Larry is really bad at the game.
I might be able, maybe, to do a
Maybe we'll
speed
see.
run of it. I don't
Do a
know.
speed.
God,
I
I
would
haven't
love
played
to.
that.
I would love to see you go through the entire thing without skipping a level.
Okay. Well, I guess challenge accepted.
There you go. Let's see that.
All right.
And I'll do my best to do the same on the Switch
I'm
since I
getting a
have my
little
Switch
nervous
with me.
now. Oh, we should play the which version? The NES remix versions all have different
Oh
versions
yeah,
of Super Mario Brothers.
yeah,
One
that's a fun one.
has one has Super Luigi Brothers, which plays right to left.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I don't. So there would. Okay, here we go. So there was two games on the Wii U and then one on the 3DS. I can't remember which is on which, but
Hmm.
one you play right to left. One is a an absolute jacked up, sped up version of the game, and I feel like maybe the other one, maybe there are only two versions of it.
Mm.
But the right to left one, I got to remember which one it's on. That is so difficult to play.
Mm.
It is insane. Maybe if it's on the Wii U, I'll try and boot it up
Yeah.
one day.
Well, it could be fun to play different versions of it.
Oh,
Just
absolutely,
you know, yeah.
totally.
All right,
So,
cool.
all
That
right.
way, it's
So,
a little different from a game that everybody is familiar with.
all right. Well, with that, Ant, enjoy the heat.
You enjoy the heat as well. Put your AC back on.
Oh, thank God. And we will catch you everywhere next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.